Good evening. Thank you for joining the Lincoln Roosevelt PTO for the annual Meet the Candidates Night. I'm Michelle Stein, this year's Lincoln Roosevelt PTO Vice President and tonight's moderator. This event is usually held in person at Lincoln Roosevelt and moderated by the League of Women Voters, a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. However, due to COVID, this event has moved virtually this year. We understand how valuable it is for our community to take part in the democratic process and be informed about the candidates running for election. This year, we have 5 candidates running for 3 open seats on the Roxbury Board of Education for 3-year terms. Those candidates in alphabetical order are Joseph Bocchino IV, Ralph Casandino Jr., Heather Champagne, Ann Colucci, and Sharon McGregor. The format of this virtual Meet the Candidates Night will begin with a 2-minute opening statement by each candidate introducing themselves. Then each candidate will be asked the same question by me and given 1 to 2 minutes to respond. We will rotate who answers first for each question. Once we're through with the questions, each candidate will be allowed a 2-minute closing statement. Let's begin. Candidates, please introduce yourselves.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us at this event. First, I would like to thank the Roxbury Community School and Lincoln Roosevelt PTO for organizing this evening, the candidates for taking their time to share their visions for Roxbury, and all of you, the citizens of Roxbury, for taking time out of your evening to listen to our platforms. My name is Joe Bocchino, and I am running for the Roxbury School Board. My wife Christina and I have called Succoson a home since 2011. I grew up in a neighboring town, and we were drawn to the small town feel and community values that Roxbury offers. Since that time, we've welcomed our 3 sons, Joey, age 5, Everett, 3 years old, and Milo, 3 months old. Professionally, I am a teacher in Randolph Township, where I have been employed for the last 13 years. Currently, I teach 2nd grade and have experience teaching grades 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I hold a Bachelor of Arts in History, a Master of Arts in Education, a Master of Arts in Elementary Certification, K-12 History Certification, Supervisory Certification, and Principal Certification. In my school district, I am an active building representative, PTO member, before-school enrichment teacher, and a volunteer for numerous PTO functions throughout the course of the school year. In Roxbury, I am a member of the Kennedy School PTA, where our oldest son Joey now attends kindergarten, a current Board of Education member, and I run a small tutoring business focusing on elementary and K-12 history curricula. In 2017, I was elected to the Roxbury Board of Education. I am the chairman of the Education Committee, a member of the Policy, Governance, Community Relations, and Sustainability Committees. During my board tenure, I have voted in favor of enhanced security improvements, facility upgrades, new curricula, career pathways, video recording of meetings for transparency, and student clubs focusing on diversity and equality. I am also proud to support technology enhancements for students and faculty, one-on-one devices for all students, professional development opportunities for faculty, and ensuring that all students in Roxbury receive a quality education regardless of ability. I have not been shy about speaking out on the board. During this past summer, I made it a point to ensure that all parents had an opportunity to ask and receive answers to questions regarding our reopening plan. Requested that our Director of Special Services be present at the later board meeting to answer all questions, and made sure that I had enough time to review the plan before I voted on it. You may recall that we tabled the vote for 2 days to allow members to do all the research necessary in order to make a productive decision, since most of us have received the documents 2 hours before the meeting began. I am not a rubber stamp, and I plan on continuing this in the future. I look forward to answering your questions this evening that will give you a better understanding of my platform, vision, and goals for Roxbury.
Hi, my name is RJ Casandino, and I am running for the Roxbury Township Board of Education. I hope everyone and their families is staying safe in this truly unprecedented time. I've been a Morris County resident for my entire life. In 2008, I moved to Roxbury into the landing section, and then in 2013, I moved to Succoson, where I currently reside with my wife and 3 children. 2 of my children currently attend the Kennedy Elementary School. Professionally, I'm a 15-year law enforcement veteran. I currently serve in the department's administrative division, where as a sergeant, I oversee the department budget, community policing, grant applications, and policy and procedure. In my 15 years of law enforcement experience, I've achieved many different certifications. A few of those include emergency medical technician, drug recognition expert, and active school shooter response. In 2019, I was honored as the Essex County Police Officer of the Year for my community work with area businesses as it pertained to the formation of a 501c3 police foundation, which supplements the municipal budget with funds that are raised through fundraising and other avenues, and supports the police department for training and equipment that is outside of the municipal budget. This is something that I really believe I can bring to the table for the Board of Education. One of my main goals is I look forward to working with the current board and the administration to provide efficient and effective staffing, updated school buildings, facilities, athletic facilities, improved technology, and to really provide college and career readiness. I think it's possible to achieve all these goals with a more strategic appropriation of budget line items, as well as additional grant funding, as I've done and built in my professional career. I look forward to working with the teachers and supporting the teachers of the Roxbury School District to making sure that they have all the tools that they need to provide the best education possible for all of our students.
My name is Heather Champagne, and I am seeking re-election for a second term on the Roxbury Board of Education. I would like to thank the community school for coordinating the forum, the Lincoln Roosevelt PTA for moderating, and for those of you who are listening this evening as each of the candidates presents their background and their vision for the Roxbury School District. My husband Craig and I have been residents of the Landing section of Roxbury for the last 16 years. Our daughter Danielle is a freshman at the high school. By way of background, I've received my bachelor's degree from Drew University in political science and Spanish. I've worked at a medical malpractice firm for the last 18 years, where the majority of my clients are catastrophically disabled children. I have a vested interest in our schools and ensuring that our children are able to learn, succeed, and thrive in the classroom and beyond. When I first ran in 2017, one of my platforms was to ensure that the district provided educational opportunities, guidance, and options for those students who chose not to continue their studies after graduation. I am proud to not only support the education of our students as a current board member, but through my volunteerism with the Roxbury Women's Club, which supports reading initiatives in the town and provides scholarships to graduating seniors. In a year that has challenged the landscape of learning for both students and educators, I have been vocal in advocating for our most vulnerable learners to be able to return to school to ensure that their IEPs and other services were being received. I have fought to ensure greater transparency, which has resulted in the recording of our meetings for the public's availability. On the eve of the reopening of schools, I questioned the reports about the air quality at the high school. Through my service on the Education Committee and the Policies and Governance Committee, I have been an advocate for promoting a stigma-free school community. In short, I have dedicated myself, in word and in deed, to the continued growth, achievement, and excellence of our schools and our community.
Hello, I'm Ann Colucci. My late husband Bob and I moved in Susquehanna section of Roxbury 25 years ago. We have two children, both who are graduated from the Roxbury school system. In 2001 and 2009, I am a graduate of East Orange Catholic, and I'm a retired administrative assistant of the Essex County Vocational Schools in Newark. I presently work as a certified home health aide for Home Instead here in Susquehanna. I am a very active member of the Roxbury community. I am a member of St. Therese Church. I'm a founder member of the St. Therese Church Youth Group Outreach Program. And I'm a past member of the Roxbury Lacrosse, Field Hockey, and Football Parents Club. I currently served as the trustee for the VFW Auxiliary, which organization I have been involved with for 12 years and have been a volunteer with the Roxbury Social Services for 5 years. In 2017, I was elected to the Roxbury Board of Education. I was reorganized as a certified board member in 2019. I am the chair of the facility committee and also serve on the personnel, negotiations, and finance committee. I am also the town liaison, and I serve on the ad hoc community to investigate moving voting out of our schools. I have lived in Roxbury for 26 years, and I love this town. I raised 2 children who went through the schools district and through the special education program. As a parent, a taxpayer, and a community member, I have a vested interest in ensuring that the town continues to move in a positive direction, but it's not enough to hope. It is important to be part of the process.
Hi, I am Sharon McGregor and I've lived in Roxbury for about 3 years. Presently I work as a web designer and content management consultant for Becton Dickinson and Franklin Lakes, where I've worked since 2013. Prior to BD, I worked for over 15 years in the educational publishing industry, working for publishers like Pearson, Houghton Mifflin, Scholastic, and Mastery Education. I got involved with both the creative and editorial aspects of producing textbooks and other educational collateral, as well as online materials. I participated actively in the production and development of reading, math, and science curriculum materials. I hold a BA in psychology from Southwest Baptist University in Bolivar, Missouri, with an art minor, and coursework toward my MA in Learning and Technology Integration from Western Governors University, which is an online program. I grew up in Sparta, New Jersey, and attended the Sparta Public Schools and took commercial art at Sussex County Vo-Tech. I live in the Wharton section of Roxbury with Jimmy and my 2 stepsons, James Nazaro, 15, a sophomore at RHS, and Joshua, 14, who attends an out-of-district special needs placement at Celebrate the Children, and a crazy dog, Coco. Joshua has autism and is mostly nonverbal due to autism. However, he's learned to communicate using a method called facilitated communication, and they have now realized that he can read, spell, and do advanced math and is really intelligent. It's been life-saving for him. This has given me a heart for advocating with kids with special needs and IEPs due to learning disabilities. I'm planning to enroll in the SPAN coursework to become a special needs advocate and perhaps enter a next chapter as a full-time advocate for special needs families. If selected, I plan to be both a voice for special needs and those mainstream kids with learning disability. I am passionate about making sure that each and every child has an opportunity for a good education, no matter what their circumstance, and also getting the community to see the importance of enhanced technologies in the schools in order to prepare them for a world where technology changes practically overnight. I also would like to get the parents involved in students' education and teaching them to advocate for their children throughout their school years.
And now for the questions. The first question is, why are you running for the Board of Education? This question will be answered first by Mr. Casandino, followed by Ms. Champagne, Ms. Colucci, Ms. McGregor, and Mr. Bocchino. Mr. Casandino.
I'm running for the Board of Education for 2 main reasons. The first one is to restore Roxbury and the reputation of the school district back to where it used to be. Unfortunately, since 2014, the Roxbury School District has fallen into the bottom 500 in rankings and test score. That's the high school, where prior to 2014, it was in the top 500. And in the second reason is I just want to take my level of involvement to the next level. Instead of sitting back and complaining about things and watching things go on, I want to be a part of the decisions for the future to improve the education for our students, to provide support for our teachers, to give those students the education they need, and also to be very transparent to the parents in the community and keep everyone well informed on what is going on in the district.
As the parent of a freshman at Roxbury High School, as well as a resident of Roxbury for over 16 years, I have a vested interest in ensuring that our schools provide a quality education to their students. When I first ran for board in 2017, I expressed a concern for and a commitment to ensuring that our students were prepared for life after graduation, whether they continued their studies in college, pursued a trade, or entered the workforce directly. I am proud of Roxbury and their Pathways offerings, which include aeronautics, law enforcement, structural design, communications, and engineering. I want to continue to support the enlargement of these offerings and opportunities. I also recognize the struggle of families, teachers, and staff as we all navigate the education of our students in the midst of a pandemic. I want to ensure that students not only do not experience a backslide in their education, but that the social emotional wellness of students, staff, and teachers are addressed, as they are all under physical and emotional stress trying to navigate this new, nowhere near normal.
I lived in Roxbury for 25 years, and I love this town. I raised 2 children who went through the school district. As a parent, a taxpayer, and a community member, I have vested interest in this, ensuring that the town continues to move in a positive direction. But it's not enough to hope. It is important to be part of the process.
I am running for the Board of Education because I'm growing very frustrated with some things happening around the district, and I wanted to have a voice. In addition, Roxbury is a choice district for special needs, and there is very little representation for the special needs kids and their parents on the current board. Since I have 2 stepsons with IEPs, I wanted to be a voice for them and to bring our concerns to the Board of Education and administration's attention when appropriate. In addition, I want to see Roxbury be a town that people move to because they hear we have great schools and exemplary programs for special needs kids. I feel like we can do better, find more creative ways to get more with less, and leverage the resources and grants that are out there to help improve our facilities and programs. I listen to the residents around town in social media forums, attending school events, and listening in on Board of Education meetings. I want to work on some of the issues I'm hearing parents are concerned about that I don't believe are currently being addressed by the board.
As a parent of 3 small children, their education is my top priority. As I said when I ran in 2017, and I'll say it again, if I see a possibility for change, I do not shy away. I act on it. Education is a gift for all. Regardless of personal ability, every single child in this school district expects and deserves the best education possible. In these unprecedented times, we have to ensure that our children are not falling behind. As a teacher in a neighboring district, I am currently live teaching full-time virtual students, and children in my class simultaneously. Is it a challenge? You bet it is. But curriculum-wise, I am right where I was this time last year. Asynchronous education is effective at times, but it should not be done constantly. When Phase 2 comes along, if it hasn't already done so by the time this video is released, I will state publicly that asynchronous learning should be reviewed and that live streaming should be introduced. You've heard me over the summer voicing my opinions and concerns, and you will hear them going forward.
The next question is, what 3 words would you use to describe yourself to someone who has never met you? Ms. Champagne, you will first start, followed by Ms. Colucci, Ms. McGregor, Mr. Bucchino, and Mr. Casandino. Ms. Champagne.
I would say I'm deliberative, dedicated, and compassionate. I pride myself on being attuned to the needs of the community and have committed myself to being part of the solution. When I commit to a project, it is wholeheartedly. I put in the time and the hard work in order to make informed decisions. I bring all of my resources to the table. I'm also mindful not just of the task at hand, but the impact that those decisions make on others. I take my responsibility, as well as the impact they have on those that rely upon me, very much to heart.
I would say hardworking, honest, dedicated. I have spent my entire adult life dedicated to serving others in this town, and I am proud of it.
I would describe myself as creative, resourceful, and stubborn, traits I hope I can positively leverage to benefit the Roxbury Board of Education if I am chosen.
The 3 words that I will use to describe myself to a person that has never met me is personable, passionate, and dedicated. My grandmother used to call me a natural-born politician, as I will walk up to anyone, say hello, and shake their hands when I was younger. I still do this today. I want to hear the concerns of people and the community members. I listen and I act on them because I care. I have been in the education field for 13 years, and it's my passion. I truly love what I do every single day, and this transcends to the board activities as well. I find it extremely valuable to have a teacher on the board. I live and breathe this every single day, and my experience and dedication speak for itself.
The 3 words I would use to best describe myself, the first one would be ambitious. I'm extremely ambitious. I currently am a police sergeant, which is a full-time job. I also own and operate 2 separate companies, one of which a general construction company. The other one is a consulting company, which assists other organizations in setting up their own 501c3s to supplement their own budgets. Many different public entities I've assisted in doing that. So obviously owning 2 different businesses as well as having a full-time job. I also am the head football coach of the Junior Gales pre-clinic football team, where I've assisted in town in coaching many different levels of sports and different types of sports. So I find myself very ambitious and taking on a lot of different things in order to improve the community. Obviously with that comes a lot of organization, so I would say that would be the second trait, is that I am very organized, dealing with all those different things. And then the last one would be responsible. Being a father of 3 in the community and being a police officer, responsibility, I think, is one of my stronger traits. And I also think that as a Board of Ed member that you need to be responsible not only to yourself and to the board, but responsible for the taxpayers and for the residents of the town, whether they have kids in the school district or not. You need to be responsible for all of that, since the school budget makes up such a large portion of the tax base in this town. And I think I will bring that responsibility and fiscal conservativeness to the Board of Education.
For the 3rd question, what experience in your background has prepared you to be an effective leader? Ms. Colucci, you'll start us off, followed by Ms. McGregor, Mr. Bucchino, Mr. Casandino, and Ms. Champagne. Ms. Colucci.
I have 32 years working in the school system. I started as a bus driver, became a teacher's aide, and later I was the principal assistant administrator to the principal. I have an extensive experience with contract negotiations for my team. Assisted with budgets, worked with the building and grounds director and transportation director, and prepared teachers' schedules. This past experience has been enormously helpful in my current role as a member of the Board of Education. Additionally, I am used to being rallied upon and taking leadership positions in other aspects of my life. I have been the chairperson for the community service and involved with the youth group services at St. Therese Church for more than 16 years. I am the trustee for the VFW Auxiliary, which I have been involved for 12 years. and I am a volunteer for the Friends of Roxbury Social Services for 5 years. These interactions and experience have allowed me to be informed as the needs and concerns of our community.
I have about 15 years in educational publishing, developing and producing K-12 textbooks and ancillaries, as well as supplemental test prep books for major educational publishers such as Pearson Education. I know the hard work and research that goes into providing top-notch educational curriculum, and I've also seen curriculum that doesn't work. I've worked on the ground floor when online learning started to take flight, and worked on one of the first interactive textbooks for Scholastic. I've been a project manager for several projects, both print and web. I have a heavy technology background and believe that will help when addressing issues with virtual education and technology upgrades. In addition, since my stepkids have come into my life, both with IEPs, I've learned to advocate for them and for other kids and families without a voice.
As I mentioned in my previous answers, I have been a teacher for 13 years. This is my life, and it transcends to board duties. In 2014, I decided to take the next step in my career and received my supervisory and principal certification for the state of New Jersey. These courses taught me firsthand how to be an effective educational leader for students and staff. Though I didn't take the plunge to administrative duties just yet, my coursework and studies have applied to my duties in my school building and also in the Board of Education. I have facilitated professional development courses, developed and written many curricula, developed and written formative and summative assessments, participated in HIB cases, have been a member of my school safety team, INRS team, PTO, and lead teacher. These experiences have been invaluable for me in being the Education Committee Chairman, member of the Policy and Governance, Sustainability, and Community Relations Shared Services Committee. Many have seen me in public meetings. I speak up, I act, I ask questions, and I do not rubber stamp.
First and foremost, I am a police supervisor, and in police departments, you are tasked with making a lot of decisions under a lot of stressful and chaotic conditions. I've been able to do that, and I think I've been pretty successful at that in my 15 years of law enforcement experience. And secondly, owning and operating two separate companies, I understand what it is to lead people from the top and setting an example from the top. And I just understand the responsibility that does come with that and the accountability that does come with that. Because I'm accountable to my employees every day. I'm accountable to my subordinates at work every day with all of the decisions that I make. And I think if, when you realize that really helps the people underneath you see that you're accountable and responsible, which is two of the big things that I've been running on, is accountability and responsibility.
I believe that in order to be an effective leader, you must possess empathy, integrity, transparency, perspective, an initiative to action, and accountability. I possess the perspective not only of a taxpayer and community member, but I'm the mother of a school-aged child and the wife of a teacher. I also am attuned through my work as well as my friendships to those parents who have to advocate for the services for their children. I have assumed leadership roles within our community, including serving as current membership chair and former recording secretary to the Roxbury Women's Club and serving as PTA president at Nixon Elementary School. Serving as PTA president, I was required to coordinate with parents, staff, and the administration to ensure that the needs for the enhancement of Nixon students were met and streamlined communications and protocol between the committees and the stakeholders. These experiences have allowed me to be informed as to the needs and concerns of the Roxbury community. Additionally, as a current board member, I have worked collaboratively with my fellow board members and the administration to support student achievement. I have also been explicitly deliberative and have provided my perspective and rationale for the decisions I came to before voting on the record in order to be transparent and accountable to the community.
Our next question, what do you see as the board's role and responsibilities? Ms. McGregor, you will go first, followed by Mr. Bucchino, Mr. Casandino, Ms. Champagne, and then Ms. Colucci. Ms. McGregor.
In a nutshell, the board governs the district, adopts policies, runs board meetings, adopts and monitors finance and budgetary issues, establishes and monitors curriculum and instruction, approves, rejects, and establishes guidelines for personnel, and oversees labor relations, such as ratifying contracts. In addition, they adopt policies for student services, facilities, food services, and transportation, as well as similar things. In addition, I do believe it is board members' responsibility to create a positive image for the district. We need to hear and empathize with parental concerns and communicate with them while being careful not to create a negative view of the school district or the administration. It is also our responsibility, especially in this political climate, to remain nonpartisan and keep all communication on parent, community, and school social media nonpartisan. First and foremost, school board members have a responsibility to look out for our students. It's been said that education is not a line item on the school board's agenda. It's the only item.
Going into this, I am not ashamed to say that I wasn't truly familiar with board member responsibilities and roles. NJSBA offers free courses for potential board members, which I certainly took advantage of in 2017. Boy, did I learn a lot. The most important thing that people have to realize about a Board of Education is that we make sure the district is run effectively, not to run the district. Each year, the board takes an oath to adhere to 10 ethical standards. Although our power per se is limited, this does not stop me from asking questions. My responsibility is to read the policies, the minutes, look over the budget, and to ask questions either raised by community members or myself. I always look at the facts and vote accordingly. I am not timid to go against recommendations and ask questions. A board member should certainly not sit idle or quiet, but be vocal, ask questions, and to vote in the best interest of our district, faculty, and students.
I believe the board has three main responsibilities. Probably first and foremost, and most important to all of the taxpayers in the town, because the school budget does make up, I believe, almost 70% of the municipal budget, is the responsible oversight of the budget for the school district and the responsible spending of the money in the school board budget. I would consider myself to be fiscally conservative. However, I also understand that it is very important to invest in the future of the school district and improve facilities and improve the way we do things to make Roxbury a more attractive place for people to relocate. A lot of our neighboring towns have made several different improvements to their campuses, making them much more attractive when you have the option to move to their town rather than Roxbury. So while I do want to be conservative with spending, I think spending the money on the right things is very important. The next thing would be to approve the curriculum for the students. And as far as that goes, I think the curriculum really needs to be modified as far as for what kids do after high school. A lot of attention is put on college, and I think that college is very important, but I think a lot more emphasis needs to be put on the options for kids other than college. Trade schools, a lot of police departments, a lot of different organizations now. You do not need college, and I think that that's very important to prepare students for all kinds of options after high school. And lastly is the hiring and negotiating of the contract with the superintendent. Superintendent's the figurehead of the whole school district, and they are an integral part of how the district operates day to day. They run the district. So even though the Board of Education does not run the school district, they are responsible for hiring the person that does. And I think that that's a very important responsibility and one that I look forward to having a decision in.
One of the biggest challenges of being on the Board of Education is explaining to others that it is not a carte blanche opportunity to push through a personal agenda. I frequently analogize my role as that of a shareholder at a Fortune 500 company. The board's role is to set policy and to ensure that the schools are being run well. So does a shareholder. Shareholders do not have a say in the brand of paper used in copiers, the cleaning service utilized, or finding a pool of candidates for the head of IT. Neither does the board. We vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the superintendent, but we do not have any personal involvement in the process before then. Our obligation as board members is to ensure the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, sex, creed, race, or social standing, are being met. It is also our role to confine our actions to policymaking, planning, and appraisal, and to help frame those policies and plans only after the board has consulted with those who will be affected by them.
As a member of the board, it is my responsibility to make decisions and to ensure that the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standings, are being met. It is my responsibility to remember that we are not to administrate the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are well run. It is also our role to support and protect school personnel and proper performance of their duties.
As we head into the second half of questions, what is the biggest challenge facing Roxbury schools and how will you address it? Mr. Bocchino, if you would start us off, followed by Mr. Casandino, Ms. Champagne, Ms. Colucci, and Ms. McGregor. Mr. Bocchino.
COVID is certainly the biggest problem facing our community currently. Regardless of our own personal opinions, we must make sure decisions are made with the safety of all children and staff in mind. I am proud to say that I sat in on meetings where I was able to voice my concerns and ask questions pertaining to our reopening plans and phases going forward. At the end of the day, we all want our children to be back in school full time, but it's also important to realize that we do this carefully and responsibly. We are bound by guidelines set forth by the state and federal governments, and we must be cognizant to that. It's no secret that we have students that may fall behind. As I mentioned previously, asynchronous learning must be addressed and live instruction should be looked into as well. We also need to ensure that all IEPs are being met, whether virtually or in person. Roxbury is known for its rigorous education, and this must continue regardless of if students are full virtual or hybrid. I will continue to be a voice for this and ensure that our district is doing all that it can to ensure that no child is left behind.
I think there's a lot of challenges in general nowadays with schools, but specifically with Roxbury. One of the biggest challenges facing Roxbury right now is the perception of a lot of people in town that the surrounding districts are flourishing. They're becoming more desirable to move to. I've heard a lot of families are saying they want to move out of Roxbury and move into surrounding districts like Randolph, Long Valley, West Morris, and Mount Olive. I think that is an issue. I think that's something that we really need to look at. It's something, growing up here, I have heard this concern from many different people. And while I know a lot of people like to have their own perceptions on how things are, and sometimes there's not a lot of truth to it, when so many people that are in the community are thinking like this, I think that's something that needs to be addressed. Another big challenge that faces, I believe, the Roxbury School District is the retention of its teachers. I believe my wife was a teacher prior to staying home with our children, and she still speaks to a lot of people that are teachers in the community. And one of the things that the Roxbury School District has a reputation for, unfortunately, is not retaining its experienced teachers, specifically its special education teachers. A few years ago, I believe a bunch were let go that were very experienced and that a lot of parents spoke out on at a board meeting. And these teachers were let go, I'm assuming for budgetary reasons. And I believe this is a reputation that Roxbury's had. And I would really like to look into that and try to change that. So those are two of the big challenges that I see right now, are the retention of teachers and the perception of the surrounding districts flourishing. And we need to do something to, catch up to that.
One of the biggest challenges we face is educating in the time of COVID. We are in unprecedented times, and our teachers and staff are working harder than ever to deliver the same quality of education to all of our students. When COVID first hit and we were forced to close the schools, the students and teachers had already developed a close sense of trust and a rapport with one another. Returning to school with new teachers, new classmates, whether virtually or in person, unable to work in small groups or close together, has made building these new relationships all the more challenging. This can breed feelings of isolation for students, faculty, and staff. As a current board member, I've supported administrative initiatives to provide the teachers and staff with expanded educational tools to ensure they have the resources at hand to provide this quality education to all students. If re-elected, I would continue the support and advocate for an increased emphasis on social emotional learning and mental health initiatives.
We are in uncharted waters right now with COVID. Back in March, when the virus first really hit, parents, teachers, and students had to adapt quickly with no prior warning and previous experience in teaching virtually. To deliver education to students for all abilities for what we thought that would be only 2 weeks. Sadly, we are not back to having all our children in classrooms and full-time an educator, and the administration have to rethink how to provide a solid education to learners to all abilities.
Right now, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is COVID-19 and our response to it. From March until now, students and teachers alike have been challenged like never before. Due to the current political climate, there are a lot of feelings on both sides of the coin, and very little empathy or willingness to see things from the other side. For the sake of the kids, we need to address both sides. There are those that do not feel comfortable returning in person, and there are those that want and need to return in person. We need to reach across the aisle and come up with a solution that benefits both sides and teachers. We recognize we as a district need to evaluate the current learning model at least monthly. We need to pinpoint shortcomings, make an effort to find solutions for kids falling behind. We also need to have conversations around the socioeconomic and psychological consequences virtual and hybrid education are having on our township families. How does a single mom support her family while supporting the children's education? How many kids are being left home to fend for themselves because their parents have to return to work? How about students' emotional health, especially students that were at risk prior to COVID? Another concern is that many of the athletic, artistic, technology, and social outreach activities that are used to gauge college placement and award scholarships were seriously altered and or canceled from March until now. How do we help these students get noticed by colleges and scholarship committees? Some students cannot afford college without these helps and have worked hard throughout their academic and athletic careers with the goal of earning a college scholarship. It's not fair that COVID will steal this from them. What about special needs kids? Many do not respond to virtual, yet have been expected to do virtual at home with little to no in-person support. Many have lost out on their related services for months, or they are virtual so that the kids are not responding. How are we going to make up for these shortfalls? These are the conversations I would like to open up with the board administration and receive input from families and students.
Our next question to the candidates is, what is your vision for education in this community? This question will be answered first by Mr. Casandino, followed by Ms. Champagne, Ms. Colucci, Ms. McGregor, and Mr. Bucchino. Mr. Casandino.
Roxbury is a very large, diverse town. My vision, as I previously mentioned in one of my other questions, would be to put much more of an emphasis on the post-graduation employment opportunities that are out there. I think students see college as their only option sometimes, and that's definitely not the case. I think a lot of times students and professionals can have sometimes a better career not going to college, in getting involved in a trade, becoming a police officer, a firefighter, a lot of things. A lot of towns do not require college. Some of them just require a 2-year degree. So I think just making sure students are really aware of that. And with that comes hiring of more guidance counselors. The guidance counselor situation in the high school is really lacking. I believe the ratio is just way too big, and the students are not getting the type of attention that they need. And I believe this is definitely a failure in a district that's our size. We should not have any shortage of guidance counselors. The next thing would be, as I mentioned in my introduction, would be some sort of an implementation of a 501c3 that supports the schools with large outside business funding. I've spoken to a couple business owners in town that have offered over the years, and I know a few of them that have offered to build sports fields for us, build different facilities for us, as long as we put their name as an advertisement on them. I think in this day and age, given our constraint on the 2% budget cap in the state of New Jersey, that this is something that we really need to look to. And looking to that and additional grant funding, I think that would be very important going forward to supplement our funding to do some of the extra things that we want to do without having to raise taxes.
As stated before, I am dedicated to ensuring that all of our students are prepared for a life after graduation, whether they continue on to college, pursue a trade, or enter the workforce directly. I want to continue to serve on the board to support the enlargement of the Pathways programs, offerings, and opportunities. I also want to continue to be part of the important work of ensuring an environment which promotes security, inclusivity, and equity for all of our stakeholders.
My vision for education is to assist in creating and attaining meaningful relationships among teachers, staff, students, and families and the community. Given the change in dynamics of the delivery of education to students, virtually and hybrid instruction, I hope to be given a second term to ensure the students and parents that the teachers and administration will continue to deliver the same quality of instruction.
I want Roxbury to be the district that everyone wants to move to because they've heard that schools are great. I grew up in Sparta, New Jersey, and when I was there, it was the district to attend in Sussex County. Top-notch academically, athletically, and plenty of opportunities for those of us like me who are talented artistically. Roxbury has slipped in recent years and been overshadowed by other districts that offer higher salaries and tenure to teachers and have had significant upgrades in their athletic facilities, namely Mount Olive, or who offer innovative special needs programs. We need to put our heads together and think outside the box to get Roxbury schools back up to what they once were. In addition, I think it's more important than ever that we involve the community. Recently, a decision was made to give the superintendent a raise at a time where her contract was not even due for renewal. I would say about 80% of the community had no idea this happened. Most people in town were reassessed last year and faced a significant raise in property taxes. So when it did finally come out that this raise was ratified, many parents were upset and felt that the community should have been alerted to this. And perhaps they would have been had they chosen to attend board meetings, but most didn't until COVID hit and there was a perceived reason to attend school board meetings. This situation highlights the need to get more parents involved and the community as a whole. How do we make the school board meetings more user-friendly so that more parents want to attend and get involved?
Trades are more important than ever. 20 years ago, when I started my college discussion for the first time in high school, college seemed to be the most important. That's not the case anymore. Trades are in such high demand, and I hope that my boys choose a trade one day. I am so proud to have supported the Roxbury Reimagined program, partnerships with Morris County Votech that now houses an in-house OT program in Roxbury where Votech sends their students from Morris County districts. Students now have the option to do flight training and carpentry, just to name a few. If students finish the program, they now have a leg up on other applicants and have certifications in place for faster employment out of high school and at higher wages. College is also still important for options for students, and that will never go away. Our academic partnerships with Rutgers and the County College of Mars provide college credits for completion of our courses. Again, this is something that I supported. Our Vista and Success programs help students develop necessary life skills and employment skills that will be invaluable as they lead the Roxbury School District. I believe it's safe to say wherever our children's pathways may take them one day, Roxbury has the programs and the staff to make this a reality for them, and I've been honored to support them all.
The seventh question to our candidates is, what are your priorities for the district in the coming year? Why and how did you select these issues? Ms. Champagne will start us off, followed by Ms. Colucci, Ms. McGregor, Mr. Bocchino, and Mr. Casandino. Ms. Champagne.
Barring a second wave, a priority would be getting our kids back into the classroom and rebuilding the sense of community among the students, staff, and teachers. Reuniting these stakeholders will feel, to many, like the first day of school all over again. I also want to continue my work on the Inclusivity Committee, which is examining and addressing our current curricula and policies to ensure inclusivity and equity. As a parent, as a teacher of English as a second language, and as a sitting board member who has heard stories from alumni who've shared their experiences of being made to feel excluded or unsafe due to their perceived otherness, I want to work to ensure an environment that promotes security, inclusivity, and equity for all students, teachers, and staff, regardless of race, gender, identity, religion, national origin, or creed.
My priority is to increase community outreach to ensure that their voices and concerns are heard. I know the taxpayers of this town have concerns where their monies are being spent and that they are being used in a responsible manner. Additionally, I would like to continue to collaborate with the fellow board members between various committees to increase transparency and productivity with one another.
Building on my answer to the last question, we need to get the community more involved. Our taxes keep being raised, and so more accountability is required financially. We need to funnel our money and prioritize tenuring good teachers, helping students financially by not raising band, music, and athletic participation fees, and using money for programs and facilities that will benefit the community as a whole. We need to think outside the box and leverage community resources and corporate grants to update these things as opposed to seeing a tax increase. The reason that this issue is important to me is because I do try and stay active on social media and special needs parents boards to see what the parents are talking about, what their concerns are, and what is making them angry and frustrated. I see that they feel like the administration and the Board of Education are out of touch with things that matter to them and their children. Obviously, the main priority for this year has to do with COVID and how to educate our children efficiently and safely and address their needs, which are as unique as each student. There are students who do well virtually, others that struggle but manage to succeed, and still others that fall behind and do not respond at all to virtual education. There are others who would succeed virtually if they had in-home support, and others that need in-person because virtual doesn't cut it. There are students struggling with depression due to isolation. There are others that are enjoying virtual because they are not bullied like they are when they go to school. Still others with challenging home lives that need the stability and socialization that in-person school offers. We need to get the students back to school that need to be back in school while simultaneously finding a solution for those children that are immunocompromised or live with a relative that's immunocompromised. We need to address the teachers' fears as well. Perhaps designate some teachers as virtual only. In addition, we need to address those students who have fallen behind. We need to reach across the aisle and be creative. Even if we don't agree, we can compromise. We need solutions. Parents and families in this community are suffering. All you need to do is check out Facebook to see that.
I apologize if I sound like a broken record, but this question directly correlates with the response to the biggest challenges that face Roxbury right now as a priority for the district in the coming year. Asynchronous learning issues, live streaming lessons, ensuring students aren't falling behind, and social emotional learning are issues that will be my top priority. Please refer to my answer to question 5 for more information regarding this. Thank you.
I believe the number one priority in this coming year is the return of students to a more full-time basis in the classroom from a return from COVID-19. COVID-19 is here, I believe, for the long haul. I believe it's here to stay. I believe it's here to stay even after that there's a vaccine. In my current profession, I've sat in many daily briefings from the state, county, and local governments. So I have a pretty good knowledge of the COVID-19 pandemic on an official level. I do not believe that this is going anywhere. So this next year is going to be very important for returning students to the classroom and returning teachers to the classroom in the safest and most effective way possible for everyone. That would definitely be probably my number one priority. Secondly would be a detailed review of our budget. I believe it's important to constantly be looking at the budget, constantly seeing what you can do better. So that would probably be my next and probably just almost as important item. And then my third priority would be to examine the building and grounds and facilities that the Board of Ed has. I think one of the most important things is the improvements to the facilities, constantly improving your facilities and making your schools better in technology, as well as the different athletic programs and facilities and obviously that comes with the school buildings themselves, with the classrooms and the actual buildings where the kids are going to school. Those things have to constantly be updated. Now, I know that gets difficult with the budget. That's probably one of the most difficult things to do, but that's also when you have updated school buildings and athletic facilities, that's one of the things that makes the town and Roxbury a desirable place to come, is if we do have those upgraded facilities that some of our neighboring towns have. And I think I could come up with some strategic ways to make money available to be competitive with some of these surrounding districts, because it seems like a lot of the facilities in these surrounding districts are getting better and they're spending more money, but they're also making themselves more of a desirable place to move. And I want to do that for Roxbury as well, but as conservatively as possible.
And for our last question, what programs or services would you want to share with other districts? Ms. Colucci will begin, followed by Ms. McGregor, Mr. Bucchino, Mr. Casandino, and Ms. Champagne. Ms. Colucci.
We already receive revenue with our sharing of buses with Chester and Dover. Recently, we have expanded by taking our mechanical repair work of other districts' buses to our transportation department. I would like to expand the VOTEC offerings such as the OT and PT program at the high school to attract area students.
I am not really sure what type of answer you are looking for as far as this question. However, from a special needs standpoint, it would be a great idea to share services with other districts. Roxbury is sorely missing activities for special needs kids, especially sports. Sparta Township, as well as some other schools in this region, have teams that participate in the Special Olympics. A few of the teams are regional, especially in southern New Jersey. It would be great to be able to join up with a few schools and start a special needs soccer team or a track team that would participate in the track regionals right here in Hackettstown every year. Morris School District has a SNAP program, which is open to county-wide kids, where students mentor special needs kids in things like basketball, track, soccer, baseball, etc. Not only do the special needs kids love it, but the student mentors say it's one of the most rewarding things that they do. Mount Olive also has a peak program where local gyms, karate studios, farms, etc. sponsor athletic events, karate classes, and horseback riding for a nominal fee. They also have baseball and soccer. The high school kids help out with this and mentor the special needs kids and say it's a great experience. This is something that could be shared among school districts and also encourage community and student participation.
During my tenure, I was proud to support a partnership with Morris County VOTEC and for Roxbury programs that I mentioned in my previous answers. One shared service currently provides busing to neighboring districts, and more than ever, other districts are looking to us for guidance. Roxbury Reimagined and New Career Pathways have been a huge success, and other districts have requested to watch us in action. 2 other districts had the aviation program that we offer in New Jersey. 2 others out of the hundreds of districts in New Jersey. Just recently, our district provided in-house SAT testing options where so many other neighboring districts were canceling theirs. I love the fact that others are now asking, what is Roxbury doing when researching programs and services? Again, I'm proud to support these initiatives, and I can't wait to see what our future holds in this district for my children and for yours. It's exciting, and I wish these options were available when I was in high school.
I'm really proud of the shared services initiatives our district has in place, including but not limited to the covering of bus routes in Chester and in Mine Hill. Additionally, our transportation department has taken on the repair of buses for other area school districts. We share a facility with the township for the protection of our road salt. I am also really impressed and excited about our occupational therapy and physical therapy program at the high school. I would like to see an expansion of these VOTEC type offerings, such as aeronautics and structural design and fabrication, to attract area students.
Thank you, candidates, for your responses, and now for your closing statements. We will hear from Sharon McGregor first, followed by Joseph Bacchino, Ralph Casandino, Heather Champagne, and concluding with Ann Colucci.
In closing, I hope that you will consider electing me to the Roxbury Board of Education. I believe in accountability and responsibility when it comes to use of finances, as well as safety in this uncertain time. I may not be the most eloquent speaker tonight, as I am taking these videos myself. The angle is bad, and I am not overly comfortable with myself on video, but I promise to do my best to represent the students and families of Roxbury on the school board. I enjoy getting your feedback, listening to your frustrations, and trying to find solutions to the issues that matter most. I want each and every child that goes through the Roxbury school system to have not only a good quality education, but an opportunity to succeed and a supportive environment that fosters creativity and learning. We owe it to our students to do our best, and that is one thing I will promise. If elected to school board, I will do my best and give it my all. Even if you don't vote for me, please vote. Now more than ever, your voice matters. Thank you and good night.
Once again, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to watch and listen to the five of us this evening. I thank the other four candidates for their motivation to run that shows their dedication to our children and this district. I want to end with this. I was privileged to be elected to this position 3 years ago, and I will be grateful if you give me another 3 years. I am proud of the work that I have done as a board member. Do I regret some decisions? Of course I do. As humans, we all reflect on the course of our work and always look for room to improve. If we didn't do so, that shows that we don't care. I care. I'm also humble enough to know that there's room for improvement. I've grown tremendously over these past 3 years, and the knowledge that I've gained from this experience will carry with me for the rest of my life on this earth. There's still work to be done, and I'm committed to do so. Many don't realize that this is an unpaid position. There isn't once a month obligation for 3 hours. I am on 3 other committees that take additional time besides this board meeting. On average, this is 5 nights a month away from my family. Though I have their support, I know they miss me, and I miss them. However, the 5 of us realize this commitment that I signed up for, and I will continue to be a vocal advocate for this district, its students, its staff, and for its community members. I thank you for listening this evening. I hope you continue to stay safe, and thank you.
In closing, I would just like to thank you all for your time tonight and your considering in electing me for the Roxbury Township Board of Education. I just want to reiterate a few of the things that I said tonight. As you've seen on some of my signs around town, and one of my biggest things in my campaign is safety. Safety today means something different than it might mean a year from now, but safety today means COVID-19, and that's what's on everybody's mind. Currently in my profession, I sit in on many health meetings with county, state, and local officials where I'm briefed daily and weekly on the situation as it's unfolding. I believe I could take that experience and help us mold these decisions in getting teachers and students back into the classroom safely and effectively as possible. Next is taking my law enforcement experience and my administrative experience in dealing with municipal budgets and owning 2 companies on my own, and really being a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of ears to the board and to the taxpayers of Roxbury, and really examining where the school budget money is going, especially because our facilities seem to need so many different upgrades and improvements. I think I would be an asset to the board in that matter. And lastly, I would really like to work and support the teachers. I would really like to see some changes in teacher retention and retaining good teachers past their tenure dates, and really supporting building, teachers are on the front lines every day, and they're the ones teaching our students, and I think they're the ones that need to be compensated the most for the work that they are doing. So retaining good teachers, regular teachers, and special education teachers, those would be 2 of my main things that I would really like to see, and things that I would really like to concentrate on. So again, thank you all very much tonight. I hope on election day that you vote for RJ Casandino for position number 4. And thank you very much, and have a good night.
I am proud of the work that I have done as a board member, and am mindful that there is always room, and indeed an obligation, for growth. We cannot be stagnant in our goals and in our thinking, as the world evolves and we must continue to evolve with it, to ensure our students are prepared for life after graduation. There is more work to be done, and I am committed to doing it. As a board member, I put in long hours, often between 10 and 30 hours a month, which is time away from my family and is without pay. I do this because I am passionate about our community and I want to see it thrive. But I would ask you as a voter to not merely consider my words or those of the other candidates. Anyone can make promises and spout platitudes. I would ask you to look at who we are as people and our commitment and service to the Roxbury community. It is one thing to recognize an issue, but who has stepped up to be part of the solution, not just in running or serving on the board, but to this town? Who steps up for you? Please keep this question in mind when casting your vote in this election. I thank you for your time and your consideration.
I'm proud of our community and our school district, and I feel I can leverage my broad understanding of education, community, and my volunteer spirit to contribute to the future success of Roxbury schools. I could promise you that I could listen to you and your voices will be heard. I hope you will give me another 3 years on the school board. So please vote 1, 2, and 3. Thank you for taking the time and listening to me.
Thank you, candidates, for willing to be a part of this democratic process. And thank you, Roxbury, for viewing this year's Meet the Candidates Night to hear where the candidates stand on important issues that affect our schools. On behalf of the Lincoln Roosevelt PTO, we encourage you to cast your ballot not just for the Board of Education, but for all the positions in this year's general election. Don't forget, Election Day is Tuesday, November 3rd. However, due to COVID, the number of polling places in each town will be reduced for this election. Roxbury residents will only be able to vote at Roxbury Town Hall or the Roxbury Senior Center, depending on your ward. According to the Morris County Election Center, if you have a disability and need an accessible ballot, vote at a polling place on Election Day, where you'll be given a headset and accessible device to allow you to cast your votes. All other voters are strongly encouraged to vote by mail or by drop box. If you come to a polling place, you will only be allowed to vote using a provisional or paper ballot. A drop box is located at Roxbury Town Hall. Make your voices heard and don't forget to vote. Have a good evening.